Hello. This is Friday, November 17th, 2023. This is a sideshow, and I'm Theodore Parker. Today in Lexington, the temperature is going to be around high at 60 degrees, low 60s, cloudy with rain most of the day, and in the upper 30s for the lows. With this rain, the wind will be about 11 miles per hour. Sunrise today in this area of Kentucky was at 7:20 a.m. Sunset will be at 5:24 p.m. Pollen is low, thank goodness. And the AQI, air quality index, is good at 28. If you're watching the sideshow on Facebook and Instagram, don't forget to like, comment, and share. What's that? For comments and discussions. If you're watching the sideshow on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, the sideshow coffee cup. Buy from me with the logo, the sideshow, black ceramic, 11 ounce. As I say, dishwasher safe, good for all beverages, hot and cold. For $17 plus shipping and handling. Pay me, that's always the good part, through Cash App. $ TR Parker 1, all caps. Well, I was just on here yesterday talking to you about some things, but I'm back today to talk to you again about some things that I wanted to talk about. And starting out, our last trip to the ballot box. Now, I know all this has been settled and so forth and so on to that degree. Here in Lexington, when I was discussing it with you and talking about the district that I'm in, the results were that everyone was reelected to their positions on the council. Representative and senators stayed the same. And Andy Beshear was reelected as governor of Kentucky. And I had also mentioned a candidate in the Philippines, Anna Lou B. Malion. She won her position on the city council for Davao, the city of Davao in the Philippines, for the number 2 position on the council. So a round of applause for them. So I just want to kind of speak a minute on my interest in the city council by way of explanation. It just so happens that my oldest son is married. His wife has a twin sister whose oldest son is a married man with a child who is on the city council for Washington, D.C. And he was first elected to that position a few years ago. And that perked my interest in city council. But as far as city government, so again, round of applause. My interest in city government started like after I graduated high school and learned that city planning is done in 10-year planning blocks. So Since I've moved to Kentucky from Washington, D.C., I've learned that Kentucky State has a course in their curriculum, and Kentucky State is part of the HBCU community, historically black colleges and universities, has a course in their curriculum that teaches city planning. So, and speaking of HBCUs, I've recently learned that Felicia Rashad is Dean of Fine Arts at Howard University, which is also a part of the historically black colleges and university community. So there we have it. Clap again for all those that want to be in city government, be involved. The other thing was that those positions, as far as the city is concerned, help regulate budget, work with the mayor of the city, levy taxes, local businesses, and things of this nature. So my old school term is at the grassroots level of seeing that things get done by way of a basic explanation. So that was the first thing. The next thing that I wanted to tell you about was, and this sets up the last thing. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about DC Central Kitchen. DC Central Kitchen, I mentioned it several times on the show. And my involvement with them goes back years. So I'm going to tell you the story. DC Central Kitchen is presently located on East Street, on what people in DC refer to as Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. But years ago, it was located in a house on Florida Avenue, close to 7th Street, which leads to Howard University. And at that time, Jesse Jackson had a house on Florida Avenue as well. So it was three of us at the time. DC Central Kitchen was composed of three of us. I'm laughing now, but at the time it was a lot of work. So Robert, whose idea it was to start DC Central Kitchen, hired Raheem and me to run the kitchen. Raheem was the executive chef and I was the sous chef. And like my background at that time was from being a cook at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. And Raheem had his own background in cooking. So traditionally, the executive chef does the order of supplies and sets the menu in kind of basic terms. And the sous chef is responsible for supervising the kitchen and seeing that the executive chef's orders get carried out. And Robert was responsible for financing the whole thing. And basically, Robert's idea was to feed the homeless in the DC area. But as time went by, it turned into something more than that. DC Central Kitchen started a training program for entry-level positions into restaurants. So groups of 8 students for 6 weeks. So the space at Florida Avenue got too small, although the classroom was initially started there. And I had written a training manual for the classroom side of the training. And there also was a hands-on side where the students actually got in the kitchen and prepared meals. So, again, as time went by, the need to expand, because my training and my experience was in a hospital setting. So, people get sick, they get diagnosed, they get treated. Hospital food is supposed to give you enough strength to return home. But now we're talking about training people to go into a restaurant. And people are expecting the flavor to match the money that they are paying for the meal. So now, the students, in order to participate, the student had to have a food handler's card from the health department. And groups of 8 students again for 6 weeks. So now it's no longer a question of, can you boil water? Now the question is, can you make a roux? Now, if you don't know what a roux is, you got to learn what a roux is and then learn how to make it. And then the next step up is, well, now that you know how to make a roux, can you make hollandaise sauce? Well, hollandaise sauce is a little bit more than just a roux. So it went. So Robert's idea was to bring in chefs from restaurants in the DC area to talk to the classes and to show them various points on what it would be expected of them once they entered the restaurant setting. And I also had the manual. Well, things went so well that one of the local TV reporters came and interviewed all 3 of us. So from Florida Avenue in a house to move to 2nd Street near D Street in Washington, D.C., and now it's DC Central Kitchen is on Capitol Hill. And thanks to Robert, my training manual, which was written at the very beginning of all this, is now in the Library of Congress. So again, DC Central Kitchen. The next thing I wanted to cover, and by way of setting this up, is here in Lexington, Kentucky, the Lyric Theater and Cultural Center is a couple of blocks away. And a few weeks ago, they had a tribute to hip hop, the history of hip hop. It was on a Friday, and I didn't attend, but I was aware. And I'm saying that because the next thing that I'm going to speak on is kind of related to that. So Wu-Tang Clan years ago had put out a platinum album, which they were going to have as a limited edition to one buyer. Okay, the person that ended up buying that platinum album from Wu-Tang Clan was Sam Bankman-Fried, who most recently has been to court for cryptocurrency fraud in the amount of $10 billion taken from customers and investors. This is the same person that bought the platinum album from Wu-Tang Clan. And they had their own plans for the money that they were asking for that platinum album. So I'm saying this because on my Facebook page, I have a lot of different people that have ideas, and that's just 2 of them, city government on council position, and then Robert's idea with DC Central Kitchen that they think they can promote. I have FX traders, I have people that want to flip your money on Cash App. And again, I will interject the point that if you see more than $7,500 displayed as a Cash App, as being on a Cash App, then I wouldn't go with that because that's the limit that Cash App will allow. And as far as Bitcoin trading and cryptocurrency, $25,000 is it. Okay, but here's the thing about approaching people in reference to cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Come on, buy some Bitcoin, this, that, and the other. I just checked before I came on the air, and one Bitcoin costs $36,000 plus dollars. $36,000 plus dollars. And I checked last night when I first got the idea of discussing this. And from last night to this morning, it's down 2.23% because it was over 37,000 last night. So here's what I'm saying. Somebody comes to you and they say, you got change for a 20. Okay, you can see that, change for a 20. So you say, yeah, so you figure out the change, whether it's a 10 and a 5 and 5 ones, or, 4 5s or 21s, right? And they give you the 20 and you give them the 20 and you take the change, right? So then you have your $20 and then you have your $5, right? Real money, real time. And you think the average salary in the United States probably now most places is above $10, but you got to have some kind of skill level to be making $20 or more. So when somebody asks you for your money, change for 5. You can give them ones, quarters, and here I have a cup full of loose change, which includes nickels, dimes, quarters, etc., etc. Okay? So relating this to cryptocurrency, it's not a whole lot of people that's going to want to buy one Bitcoin at $37,000, $36,000. So it's sold in portions. And the app that I've been looking at is crypto.com. And again, it's free. You can put it on your phone if you really want to educate yourself about it. It has all the listings. And like I say, Bitcoin itself is legal in the stock market, but it is not regulated. It is not regulated. And you can go anywhere, like with Bitcoin itself, to $36,000 for one coin, to other parts of the cryptocurrency list, and be on the right side of the decimal point in increments that it has value for. 0.023345. And that's the part of it. So trying to tell people to invest in Bitcoin, since I have the app and can look and receive suggestions as to when and how to do it, because there's they are allowing you to use a debit or credit card to make purchases. So the last offer that they sent to me was $55. So how much Bitcoin do you think I'm going to get spending $55 when a whole Bitcoin is worth $36,000 when I looked this morning? So I'm just saying, some people work within the system, as were my first two examples, and are successful. And then some people, the system, quote unquote, is not good enough for them to work with. And then you have results such as you have seen with Sam Bankman-Fried $10 billion from customers and investors. So if you're on my Facebook page, you got your own ideas, you got your own entrepreneurship presentations, please, please, please no scams. No scams. And if for some odd reason, I'm going to tell you right now, straight up, if for some odd reason you get past the front door and start talking that baloney, then I will get the notice that you were trying to scam people. So, that being said, you know, when you wake up in the morning and put your feet on the floor and get ready to start your day, do it with this mindset that every day, probably by the end of the day, you will have learned something that you did not know before. That's it. Hashtag